So who won the first GOP presidential debate of 2012? Well, I say that Governor Tim Pawlenty won hands down. Now, why is that? You're not seeing a lot of other pundits saying that. You're not seeing the polls say that. To really understand my thinking, we got to step back and look at several assumptions. When it comes to winning a debate and who's the best communicator, you've really got to look at three very specific things. Number one, the background, the character of who someone is. Number two, the ideas they're trying to communicate. And number three, how they actually communicate. Because if it were just about presentation skills, then Alan Keyes and Jesse Jackson both would have been two-term presidents. So when it comes to communicating in a presidential debate, it's never just about the communication skills. That's only one part of it. Now, if it came down to simply who is the best communicator, I think you'd have to give that to Herman Cain. He's a businessman, and he wins what I call the Alan Keyes, Pat Buchanan candidate who was the best speaker and has a snowball's chance in hell of actually becoming president. So, good speaker, but so what? Simply not credible. Ron Paul won the whole debate among people who are libertarians and hate all government and don't want to spend any government. Unfortunately, that's not a dominant faction of the Republican Party today. So all the candidates, except for Gary Johnson, I think had a certain win with a certain base. But that doesn't mean they won the debate. So let's go through them one at a time. Ron Paul, I simply discount. I know some of you are going to hate that. But name for me a single sitting member of Congress who's become president in the 21st century or the 20th century. Here's a hint. It can't be done. American voters have decided a congressman, a member of the House, is really more like a city councilman than a president. If you can't get the support of everyone in a whole state, why should you get the support of a whole nation? That is the assumption of the American people. I don't see any indication that that's going to change. Rick Santorum has been a U.S. Senator, but his problem is nobody likes Rick Santorum. The voters of Pennsylvania threw him out of the Senate because they didn't like him. Again, let's look at history. Show me an example of somebody who became president or got a major nomination who was booted out of office as their most recent campaign. Now, you can look at Richard Nixon in 1962 and say, hey, he didn't get elected governor of California, but he wasn't an incumbent. He'd been the vice president before. He hadn't lived in California for 10 years. People there didn't really know him. The other problem Rick Santorum has is nobody really likes him, not just the voters, but he doesn't come across as a likable guy. Say what you will about Republican nominees, whether you love them or hate them. Ronald Reagan, everybody thought he was a lovable guy. George Bush, people who knew him as governor of Texas before, everybody liked him, thought he was friendly, engaging. His father, people loved him. Going back to Gerald Ford, everybody thought he was a great guy. So at some level, voters, Republican Party voters, tend to pick men who are immensely likable. Rick Santorum does not fit the bill. Governor Gary Johnson of New Mexico, he's a libertarian. And while the GOP pays lip service to libertarian ideas from time to time, there is a strong base of Republican voters who want big government to ban abortions. They want big government to throw drug users in jail. They want big government to wage war on terrorists. So he's simply out of step with the mainstream of the party. So what does that really leave us with? It leaves us with Pawlenty. He is a former governor, therefore he has the credible background part. He is a mainstream conservative, so he therefore has the messaging part right. So it really comes down to his presentation skills. Now, he didn't have any one-liners that would define the whole debate, any zingers, but he also didn't make a fool of himself. He didn't have any moment where people looking at him would say, ugh, I can't imagine that guy being president. So for the fundraisers watching and the voters who are really trying to visualize a person as president, I think that Pawlenty was the only one who successfully crossed that threshold. So it's not going to show up in the polls today or tomorrow, but when it comes to lasting benefit and traction from this debate, Tim Pawlenty is the big winner. Now, to see a more detailed analysis of this, go to my column at tjwalker.com.